Hi, everybody. This is Ramina Zarm, owner and operator of Flex to Success Clinical Rehabilitation Services. I wanted to do a follow-up video to complete the bipolar series on cyclothymic disorder. As you remember, I did bipolar 1 and bipolar 2 previously, and I saved the best for last, cyclothymic disorder. And what makes this disorder very interesting and unique is that if you recall, for bipolar 1 disorder, you had to have a full-blown manic episode in order for a diagnosis. For bipolar 2 disorder, you had to have a full-blown major depressive disorder, major depressive episode in order to meet the criteria for bipolar 2. And for cyclothymia, you don't have to meet the criteria for a full-blown manic episode. You don't have to meet the criteria for a major depressive episode. You don't even have to meet the criteria for a hypomanic episode. All you have to do is have symptoms of either hypomania or symptoms of major depressive episode. If you have symptoms of both but you do not meet full criteria for either hypomania or a major depressive episode, you could be diagnosed with cyclothymic disorder. And that would be the appropriate time to diagnose for this particular condition. So let's jump right into it. Cyclothymic disorder, according to the DSM-5, is defined as numerous periods with hypomanic symptoms and numerous periods with major depressive episode symptoms without meeting the full criteria for hypomania and MDD for a 2-year duration of time. So you have to have symptoms of hypomania without meeting full criteria and symptoms of a major depressive episode without meeting the full criteria for a 2-year period of time in order to be diagnosed for cyclothymia. That 2-year period of time is significant. You see, that's what makes this a debilitating disorder. If you recall, you could have a hypomanic episode that lasts 4 days. So it's really, really intense. Not a full-blown manic episode, but pretty intense manic symptoms. For a period of 4 days, boom, you could be diagnosed as having a hypomanic episode, right? For cyclothymia, you never really meet the criteria, but you come close to it, and it lasts for 2 years. So that's that 2-year period. That's the debilitating aspect of it. And that's what people struggle with who are diagnosed with this particular disorder. It's that 2-year duration just drags on. And you also shift between hypomanic symptoms and then major depressive symptoms. So if you recall, in order to be diagnosed with a major depressive episode, you would have to have significant depressed mood and loss of interest or pleasure in doing things that are normally pleasurable. Remember anhedonia, not having pleasure in doing things that are normally pleasurable. You would have to have those 2 criteria met for, and then 5 of the other criterias that we went over in the last video for a period of 2 weeks. So in order to not meet what I mean by not meeting the criteria is insufficient number, meaning number of symptoms, insufficient severity, meaning severity of symptoms, insufficient pervasiveness, meaning the consistency of symptoms, or inconsistent duration, meaning how long the symptoms last for. So, like I just said, with major depressive episode, it had to be a 2-week duration. Well, maybe you only experience some of the symptoms for 1 week, or 3 days, or 2 days, or almost 2 weeks, but not quite. You see? That's how you would have symptoms of a major depressive episode without actually meeting the full criteria, because that would not satisfy the duration. The duration is 2 weeks. If you only have the symptoms for 1 week and you only have some of the symptoms and not all of them, you're not satisfying duration or number of symptoms. So same thing with hypomania. If you guys recall, a hypomanic episode is a period of abnormally and persistently elevated mood along with increased energy and activity lasting 4 days. So maybe you only have a few of those hypomanic symptoms for 3 days or 2 days or one day. You see? So that's how you would end up with a diagnosis of cyclothymic disorder. It kind of falls in that gray area where, okay, I can't say you're having a full blown hypomanic episode. I can't say you're having a full blown manic episode. I can't say you're having a full blown major depressive episode, but I'm seeing little bits and pieces of all three, or just hypomania and MDE and a major depressive episode. And if I'm seeing that, but you're not meeting the full criteria, I'm probably going to diagnose you with cyclothymic disorder because that's the appropriate time to do it, when they kind of fall in that gray area period. So I hope this clears up some of the confusion and helps to allow people to classify the disorders appropriately. Bipolar 1 have to have a manic episode, bipolar 2 have to have a major depressive episode, cyclothymic disorder, symptoms of hypomania, symptoms of major depressive episode without actually meeting full criteria. This completes the bipolar series, and we'll be moving on to persistent depressive disorder, also known as dysthymia. The DSM-5 changed dysthymia to persistent depressive disorder, so that's the new name for that particular condition. And in the next video, we're going to jump right into that and learn all about persistent depressive disorder, also known as dysthymia, which is a very common condition in children, adolescents and young adults. All right, everybody, thank you so much for your time today. Get out and enjoy the weather. I heard it's going to be 90 today, so it's going to be a scorcher. Try to stay cool, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.